Friends, at this time we are going to begin the funeral services for Anita Gabel. If you have a cell phone or a pager, we would ask for you to please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating today's services will be Rabbi Barry Schechter.
Thank you.
משמאל דוד, אדוני, מי יגור יעלך, מי ישכון בהר קודשך, הולך תמים ופועל צדק, ודבר אמת בלבבו, לא רגע ללשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רע, וחרפה לא נשא קרבו, נפסה בעיניו נמאס, ואת יראי אדוני יכבד. נשפל הרב לא ימיר, כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד הנקי לא לקח. עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם. God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Dear friends, we're here for a sad and difficult occasion to say goodbye, which is one of the most difficult things we can ever do, but also to pay tribute, to honor the memory, and to celebrate the life, the long life of Anita Gabel, Annie, who is gone to her eternal rest at the age of 102 years. The daughter of Fanny and Samuel, Hannah bat Frischke Shmuel, her late husband, Joseph, who passed many years ago, her children, Howard and the late Stephen, her sister and brother, her sister Beatrice B. and her late husband, Bernard, her brother Herbert and his Barbara, and nephews and niece, Randy and her, did I get this right? Nephew, nieces, right? Randy and his Marsha, Lynn and her Gavin. I think Lynn is in Canada, but she is hearing us at this moment. Hello, Lynn. Doug and his Veronica, Dan and his Gina, and the late Mark. And also, we have, too many to mention, but great nephews and nieces, and great nephews, two I believe, correct? Two great nephews. Not just great nephews. And I had a very nice conversation with some of you just the other day. One of the things I think you mentioned to me was, am I right that Bernard's Yahrzeit is today? Today is Bernard's Yahrzeit. So we're having the service for Annie, for Anita, on the day of Bernard's Yahrzeit. She was born, you told me, in Akron, Ohio. Then you lived in New York. You'll have to correct me if I make a mistake. Feel free. And then, during the Depression, came to Chicago. Lived on the South Side in Woodlawn. I think you both went to Hyde Park High School, yes? And later she learned how to type. She worked as a typist. Much later she worked actually for the University of Chicago. After she married Joseph, lived on the South Side. Her children were born there. And still later she lived further north in the city, and then lived in Skokie, the Barcelona, where I may have met her because I used to visit a lot of people in that building, and my mother-in-law lived the building just north of there. And many years later, she worked, I think you said, for John M. Smythe Furniture, and then she worked for Marshall Fields, where she was an excellent saleswoman. She did very, very well as a saleswoman because of, I'm sure as much as anything else, because of her personality. Because people probably they liked talking to her. They wanted to talk to her. And that was as part of her person, part of her personality, part of her character. I think you told me that Joseph stayed home and he cooked dinner, you told me. And when I asked you if he cooked well, you said, you were very non-committal. You said that Annie liked his cooking. So I'm not quite sure what's implied there, but I leave it to your imagination. I know that she would be with you. She would go to Florida. You would spend quite some time during winter in Florida, and you were known there and here as the Sisters. You were called the Sisters. She knitted beautifully. She crocheted. She made blankets for the children, for the nephews, for the great-nephews, he says, for the great-great-nephews. She made all these wonderful, wonderful things. She liked to read, especially John Gresham. And she liked to play solitaire on the computer. Another thing she really loved was when the other ladies that she had worked with were at Fields after she was no longer there. In fact, after Fields was no longer there, I imagine. Something was there, but it wasn't called Fields anymore. And they would take her out for lunch, and she really enjoyed that. You told me about a place that she liked, a Chinese restaurant across the street from the Barcelona. Now, you also told me that she never learned to drive, which meant that she walked. She would walk, you told me, across Skokie Boulevard. And she still lived till 102. Think about that. How many others who walked across Skokie Boulevard, of how many others can that be said? I'm not sure. You know, if I turned it round, maybe walking across, I don't want to suggest this to anyone. If you want long life, walk across Skokie Boulevard. Don't infer that from this. She would walk everywhere. She was a regular visitor, more than a visitor, I think, at the Apple store in Old Orchard. I think she was practically a resident there, from what you told me. She liked to go there if she had a problem with her Mac or with the phone or whatever it was. I think she went there anyway. She liked the young men there. And they liked her. They knew her name there. They knew her. She was In German, they call it a Stammgast. You know, if you're a regular customer, you know, everyone knows that, he's always there. And she was always there. And she walked there from the Barcelona. That she didn't have to cross Skokie Boulevard for that. Don't worry about that. B, you have a dog called Toby. I'm not telling you anything new. Shih Tzu, and she would babysit your dog, and the dog was very important to both of you. Later on, of course, she had to live. It was not that easy for her to be alone. She was in the Belmont in Buffalo Grove, but then COVID struck, which was so difficult for so many people. You know, people, especially in places like that, you were basically, you were almost a virtual prisoner in your room. So she was moved to be with you, B. And then I think this year she was in Brookdale Independent Living. Her cousins, the Blivers family, was wonderful to her. I understand that she didn't mind a small glass, maybe it was a larger glass, I'm not sure, of wine. I understand, that's right, isn't it? I think B, she was always willing to join you in a glass of wine. There was some travel. When we discussed this, I was told that she didn't travel. And then I heard that she actually went to Israel with her father, with Pa Sam, right? There was a dispute as to whether Ma Fanny was there. I will not enter this. You'll have to settle this yourselves. I think she went to Italy as well. Am I right? But she had some paintings. She had some paintings of different places, like France. And she would sit on the couch, and she would look at these paintings, and she would imagine herself, in her mind, she would live herself into those places. So in that sense, she certainly was a traveler. In her mind, she was in those places. She visited Washington State for bar and bat mitzvahs. She was there 3 times for Sean and Faylene and Michelle. She also went to California for bar mitzvahs. I think Sam, and maybe there was someone else as well. I can't remember. And also Dan's wedding. She was in California for. Lynn has told me some lovely things which I wanted to tell you, and I thank you, Lynn, for these. She liked Yiddish songs. And she helped Annie. Annie helped Lynn to learn Yiddish. When Lynn asked Howard, a cousin, to describe her, because she felt that when she talked to me, she hadn't managed to quite capture her completely. His words were easygoing, agreeable, accepting. And Lynn says, which you all told me, she never thought of herself. She was worried about others. She wanted to help other people. And her famous words were, if you asked, how are you? Are you right? She'd say, don't worry about me. You should sit and relax. And most important, she didn't say most important, I'm saying most important, have something to eat. That's how she reacted. If people were worrying about her and asking, are you okay? Don't worry about me. Relax. Eat. Lynn was able to spend 5 days with her at the beginning of December. And they talked about what was going to happen And she said to Lynn, listen, I don't want you to cry for me. I want you to have fun, to tell good stories, and laugh. And she always liked to laugh. And she really appreciated what others did for her. And you knew it. This telling her to laugh, she may not have known this, or maybe she did know this. She was echoing what, talking about Yiddish, she liked Yiddish, what one of the greatest Yiddish writers himself said in the ethical will that he wrote. And that writer is Sholem Aleichem, that's his pen name. He wrote these stories on which Fiddler on the Roof is based, although Fiddler on the Roof is quite some distance from exactly what he wrote. And in his will, he actually said, I would like my descendants and their friends, if they want to say Kaddish for me. And if they don't want to, they don't have to. But what I insist on, he said, what I insist on is that on my yahrzeit, on the anniversary of my passing, I want you to get together and read one of my stories, preferably a funny one, so that my name should be remembered in joy and laughter. So when I see this, when Lynn wrote to me this, she said, I want you to laugh. I was thinking, my gosh, this is like our greatest Yiddish writer. This is the same idea. Now, obviously, when you have a loss, someone you've known all your life, for example, obviously you're torn. There's grief there. We can't, nor should we, switch that off. But there are two things when we think of a person's life as we say goodbye to them. We have these two emotions pulling in different directions. One is, what a wonderful life. Not just the length. There are people who live long, but the quality of the life, the decency in a world that is sorely in need of decency, of good behavior. So there's that feeling of someone wonderful, someone good and decent, and a fine Jewish lady. At the other hand, we have grief. We've suffered a loss. As time goes on, we hope that the feelings of grief, even you could be 102 and it's still a loss is a loss, but that those feelings which hurt us will diminish, even if that seems very difficult now. These feelings will diminish, and what will grow will be the other feelings, these memories of this independent lady, this lady who cared about others, who's really an example to us. We think about the world we live in now, when so much that goes on in public life has to do with people who are egotistical. I forbear to mention any individual names, selfish, narcissistic. And here you have someone who's not famous, but who made the lives of quite a number of people better simply by being herself, which was to be a good neshama, a good, decent soul. And that's something to be celebrated. So if I say to you, and I am saying it to you, that the world would be a better place if there were more people like Annie. I'm giving the highest praise that you can give to any human being. And I give that praise. She's at peace now, but she leaves you a legacy, and by a legacy or whatever word you want to call it, I'm not talking about physical property or money or anything like that. I'm talking about how to live a life, a lesson, how to be a human being, a decent human being. And we have to try in our own lives, if possible, to emulate her. If sometimes we may be faced with a choice between doing something that we secretly know we shouldn't do and doing the right thing, and we might be tempted, but it's quite possible that we'll think at that moment, you'll have a vision of her, you'll think of her, and you'll think, I'm going to do the right thing. At such a moment, she lives on. At such a moment, those you who knew her so well, I include myself in this even though I didn't know her, you come into her inheritance. This is what she's given. And this is a gift that can go on giving after she's gone physically. You were blessed to have her. And of her I say, Tehei nishmata tzrura b'tzror hachayim, which means, may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. That is what I say of her. And to her I say, Anita, Annie, Chana, Bat Shmuel Ufrishke, Lech b'shalom, geh in Frieden, go in peace. Hobelechtig in Gan Eden, may your repose be in paradise. You will never be forgotten. You will always be remembered in love by those who knew you and loved you, and those who knew you and you loved. Amen. And now, do you all have these little folders? If you could open them. On the left side, you see the 23rd Psalm. Would you join with me in reading, please? All together. The Lord is my shepherd. Together, everyone. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And now, I'm just wondering if this is possible. I want to cut this ribbon, but I would like them to see it. So, the closest relatives or relative wear a ribbon. If you just, and I'm going to cut the ribbon and say a bracha. Yeah, this way is good. Yeah, just pull right back. Yeah. So, I'm going to cut this ribbon for you there, which we do when we suffer a loss. I'll tear this ribbon. Oh, let me just say this. I've just cut the ribbon. Let me lift this up. I just cut this ribbon. I'm going to say a bracha with you. You know, you'll say it with me. Baruch. Hello. Yeah, wait. I'm going to tell you two words. Dayan. Ho'emes,
Amos.
which means blessed be the true judge. That's what we say when we suffer a loss. Okay, you can go, we look back now. Yeah, okay there. And now I'm going to ask you if you can rise, please. If it's difficult for you to stand, then just stay seated. El male rachamim, shachrei mamramim, hanetzei menuchanechona, tachat kanefei ashina, v'malot krashin otarim, kazarak yamasiyevim, et nishmat, chana, bat frischke shmuel, shalach al-olam, בעבוד שאנחנו נסתכה ביד הזכרת נשמתה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה לכן ברחמים יסתיריה בסדר כנף לעולמים יצבע בצרכן את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוע בשלום על המשכבה ונאמר אמן. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Anita Gabel, the daughter of Fanny and Samuel, who has entered eternity and in whose memory we offer charity. May her repose be in paradise. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Yes. You may be seated. Yes. Friends, normally we would say the Kaddish at the cemetery, but it is so very cold today, and I don't want people to have to stand 1 second longer than is necessary there. So we are going to say the Kaddish here, which is perfectly okay. And so I'm sorry to impose on you. If you could stand once more, those of you who can. And on the back page of the folder, we have the Kaddish in Hebrew letters and English letters. I will say it with you. It's for the mourners, but everyone can join. And if you don't join, you can respond. One of the responses is very simple. When I or we say V'imru, you say Amen. V'imru actually means and say. And Amen, you know the word Amen in English, same thing. So let us begin. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei. בחיי חון ובימי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו everyone Amen. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו Amen. Now you can be seated. Yeah, briefly, yeah.
Friends, this concludes the services here in the chapel. The interment and burial will continue at Waldheim Cemetery in Forest Park. And for those of you driving with us to the cemetery and the funeral procession, please make sure that your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker, and we will be providing several of the cars in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in our procession. And for your own safety and security, I would suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery in the funeral procession. The family will be together for Shiva at the Carey residence at 1513 Madison Court North in Buffalo Grove, and they'll be together on Sunday from 1 until 5 p.m. And the family has also requested that any memorial contributions in Anita's memory can be made and can be directed toward Hadassah. All of that information for the memorial contributions and Shiva is available in the service folder that you should have received when you came in. If you did not receive one when you came in, we do have those for you as you leave. And for those of you joining us online, that information is also all available on our website. Finally, at this time, I will ask for the last time to please rise and stand in place as you're able, as we escort the family and the rabbi from the chapel. And for the family members that would like to serve as pallbearers, you'll follow behind us. Thank you.